Thank you all so much for joining us after a little bit of a delay or postponement. So, thank you for your graciousness there. Was sick a little bit last week. My daughter was also sick, and my wife was traveling. And so we kind of had to move all of this 1 week, but we're just pretending it's like a week later, where it's like time traveling a little bit, I think. So, welcome to, as mentioned, the 2024 Corporate Humor Awards. We're going to be recognizing some pretty phenomenal
To
people
pick that up.
sharing things. So thank you all so much for joining, as mentioned. And yeah, that's right. That's correct. As Kathy shares in the comments, you have to be able to pivot as a parent and as a, virtual awards host, I guess, as well. So that's what we're adjusting to this morning as we jump into things. Bianca, if you're able to confirm that we are live out to the streaming services onto the chat. Yep, just got that notification. So hello, not only to those of you who have joined us in Zoom, but also hello to those of you joining us on the various places on the interwebs. It has been a little while since we have done one of these live stream events, but we're excited for you to join us. And as we jump into the awards, we've got a jam-packed kind of a award show for you. So we do want to jump into those things pretty quickly. As mentioned, welcome to the awards. My name is Andrew Tarvin, and we're here to honor and celebrate some great humor from the past year. Now, obviously, the best celebration was when that humor actually occurred. The laughter, the smiles, the enjoyment that came from these individuals and organizations who are going to recognize for the humor that they brought, right? That's the real joy and value of this. But we also want to shine a special spotlight on them as well with a little bit of an award. Recognize that we know that it sometimes takes a little bit of effort or a little bit of extra work, or maybe even a little bit of stepping outside of your comfort zone to be willing to try a little bit of humor, particularly in the context of work. And so we want to celebrate those people who are doing that. Plus, it gives the rest of you out there some great ideas and tips that you can basically steal and reapply in your own work as well. Now, if you happen to be new to Humor That Works, a little bit about us and the organization. First of all, my name is Andrew Tarvin. I am the CEO of Humor That Works. And most importantly, though, I am a nerd. As many of you maybe have heard before, if you're wondering what type of nerd, the answer is yes. Computer math, sci-fi, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, Star Trek, Starbucks, all of them. But most specifically, I'm an engineer. And as an engineer, I've always been obsessed with efficiency to the point that I believe that smart for me in school was getting a 93% in all my classes, because a 93% was the lowest score you could get and still get a top grade of an A. It got to the point that if I got like a 94, 95, or worst case scenario, 100%, I was actually upset because it meant that I did more work than I had to do, right? Obsessed with efficiency. So went to The Ohio State University, got a degree in computer science and engineering, and started working at Procter & Gamble as an IT project manager. And it was at P&G that I started to realize that there's a difference between being efficient and being effective. And as a stereotypical nerd, because I do think I meet some of the stereotypes, right? I've got the glasses, and a friend of mine recently told me that I kind of look like Harry Potter, but if instead of being a wizard, he was an accountant. So I don't think that's a compliment, but I've got that kind of nerdy look. A friend of mine recently also told me that I don't actually have to tell people that I'm a nerd because you can hear it in my voice. So there's that. Right. So I didn't have the skill set that I needed to be more effective with people. But luckily, I started doing improv and stand-up comedy in university and started to realize that some of the same skills you need to be effective as an improviser or a comedian are some of the same skills that you can use to be a more effective leader or communicator. And I started to see how well humor was working in my own work, and was wondering why no one ever talked about this thing. This wasn't something that I read about in business books or that I'd seen in business school. And as Gandhi almost said, be the comedian you wish to see in the world. So decided to start Humor That Works and talk more about the value of using humor in the workplace, of which these humor awards are a big component, a way for us to celebrate the humor, not from what we do, but what from all of you do out there as well. For additional context, if you're interested in this as a topic, we've got 3 books out there, including 501 Ways to Use Humor, Humor That Works, and the Skill of Humor Playbook, all meant to help you understand the what, why, and how of using a little bit more levity into the workplace. And so if you're like, I want to be in this award show next year, well, maybe pick up one of the books and get started with how you're using today. Now, I could not have done this humor award show alone. I mean, first of all, we've got Bianca behind the scenes that have been running and doing pretty much everything. And we also have three incredible judges, because we at Humor That Works know that we are not the sole voice when it comes to humor expertise. And so this year we've got three incredible judges that are going to be joining, or that have joined us to pick out your winners. They're basically like the foreign press of the Oscars, I think is maybe how that works. I actually don't know how voting works. It's like the NBA media teams who picked out, MVP, et cetera, right? We've got Julie, Carlos, and CK joining us, who have made these selections for us, who have joined us this year. So Julie, quick background on them. Julie is a writer who frequently writes for places like New York Daily Shouts and McSweeney's, and has an incredible Substack called Humor Me at julievic.substack.com. Next up, we've got Carlos Greaves, who is an Afro-Latino engineer turned comedy writer. He's a contributor to outlets like The Onion and wrote for Kevin Hart and Kenan Thompson's TV special Back That Year Up. He's also the author of Spoilers, Essays That Might Ruin Your Favorite Hollywood Movies, which is great. And finally, we have CK Stiefel. CK is the writer, producer, and star of the one-woman comedy show I Can Fit My Fist in My Mouth, which received the Backstage Bistro Award and was rated as a top 10 best new play in the Village View. She also has a great Substack called Good Humor at cstiefel.substack.com. So shout out again to the judges for helping us out this year. Now, just like 2021, when we last did these awards, we have two kinds of categories. We have high-level categories of organizations for groups and organizations doing incredible work in the humor space, and individuals. And we're going to be starting first with the organization awards. And these are for entire organizations who improve the workplace with a more humorous culture. And the nominations are themed around our 5 core skills of work from the Humor That Works book, which include first, the ability to execute. So ultimately, at the end of the day, as an organization, you have to know how to send, say, emails or complete tasks or shave an alpaca, if that's what your mission statement says, I guess. And the reality is that if you can't execute, you don't have an organization, just a lot of people sitting around circling back on initiatives that don't really matter. Second, you have to be able to think, to solve problems, to prioritize 1,000 different projects and figure out the best way to tell people that a bathroom is gender neutral. This is my personal favorite, I think, just a simple sign that says it all really pretty quickly. And next up, we've got the ability to, as I move my windows around, to communicate. And this, you have to be able to decipher what a customer said and what they actually want. You have to explain complex topics in a way that doesn't lead to confused faces, and you have to speak the same language, right? We don't speak English, but we promise not to laugh at your Spanish. I think a pretty great focus or way to think about languages. So after that, we've got, you have to be able to connect. You have to have emotional intelligence, show empathy for your customers, and also ultimately let people know that you get them, right? I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry. And finally, you have to be able to lead, to influence people to a common goal, to motivate employees when things get tough, and to, let them know that when life shuts a door, open it again. It's a door. I mean, that's how they work, right? As we think about things like opportunities out there. And those are the 5 kind of core skills of work. And every organization kind of goes through them, and pretty much every job is a subset of those 5 skills. So our awards for our organizations are centered around each one of those, starting first with our Works with a Smile award. And this goes to someone for humor and execution, to the company that uses humor to increase productivity, relieve stress, and get more done. The nominees are Slack for putting out great release notes with new updates, Houston Station for their playful approach to corporate messaging, and an ice cream shop for integrating their customers in a fun way. And drum roll, please. This is the winner is Houston Station, based in London. You can see the award-winning picture here, which says, "This escalator is refusing to escalate. This has been escalated to the engineer who is on their way up or down to check it out." Right? A nice, fun, playful thing for a warning message that we've probably seen before that's typically pretty boring. What Julie said about this winner is that, I think anytime someone can find humor in a frustrating situation, it ultimately works out well. And that I agree with. So that is our very first award. Congratulations to USON Station. Next up is the Funny Innovator Award for humor and thinking. And this is for the company that uses humor to enhance problem solving, improve creativity, and think outside the box. The nominees for 2024 are Bakery Scan for an AI tool that originally was created to analyze croissants, but they actually discovered could actually help them use that same technology to fumbling through that, detect cancer. The company This for the creative way of describing a vegan burger label, and Orange, an ad showing support for gender equality ahead of the Women's World Cup. And the winner is Orange. Orange had a phenomenal, very clever video that they shared and was posted a number of places where essentially they took women's highlights from the women's soccer game, and used virtual effects to overlay it with men from the French men's team, and had this theme initially to kick off to say like, oh, this is only the men's team can do this. And it's like the whole time you're watching it, you're impressed, and then they reveal ultimately at the end that it was a women's team the whole time, which is a great way to talk a little bit about gender bias, which is something that Carlos shared. He said, finally, a bit of a use of AI that I actually like, and a fun way to highlight the women's team while also addressing the gender biases that exist in sports. To capture all those people to say that for whatever reason they didn't think women's soccer was as exciting was a great way to get their attention right away. So very clever, very nicely done, and very creative problem solving. Up next is the Always Marks as Read Award for humor and communication. And this is for the company that uses humor as a way to improve communication skills. Nominees this year are the Department of Transportation for those effective humor signs that you see slowing down traffic, Readwise for spicing up their onboarding guide with a bunch of memes throughout the presentation, and ABC News for an engaging video on the history of CAPTCHA. And the winner is ABC. It's a fantastic video. It's one that I did not actually know a whole lot about, but it's full of humor and actual facts, like what CAPTCHA stands for, which is your completely automated Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Did not know that's what it stood for, which is a wonderful kind of acronym listed in there. And we're going to be posting, where we post all the information about kind of this year's award winners. We're also going to be posting a link so you can check that out if you want to learn more about the history of CAPTCHA and see a really effective use of the technology, or the use of humor when explaining technology. Carlos said this about the award winner, that the balance between informative and entertaining is difficult to get right, and this video nails it, right? And this is a great example of a thing to go and watch. If you are trying to add humor to something a little bit more technical or something a little bit more dry, this can be a great video to go watch and see like, oh, how did they do it? What can I learn from this? That's the whole point of us doing these humor awards, is to help you identify good case studies of what you can mirror. We've got two more corporate awards. The next one is the Everybody Loves Them Award for Humor and Connection. And this is for the company that uses humor to build relationships with coworkers, clients, and pretty much everyone in between. The nominees for 2024 are the Wander Club for the delightful post-purchase confirmation emails, the NFL for their creative player introductions, and Pearson for the use of a variety of humor initiatives at work. And the winner this year is Pearson. That's right. Pearson had a wonderful nomination that was submitted, highlighted by two people in particular, Chad and Rick, who bring fun and play to work every day. That includes a daily fun post like blah, blah, blah day, and Rick, who shares virtual whiteboard posts, including one very valuable post that included things like, how would a centaur wear pants? And so for a little bit of crowd interaction today, we've got a fun little kind of informal poll that you can do. Go ahead and share in the comments or drop in the chat. Which one do you think? If a centaur were going to wear pants, like this Mastodon user shared, Matthias Keller shared, is it going to be A, B, C, or D? So go ahead and share in the comments or in the chat. Here in the chat, we're seeing B, and I get a direct message that said D as well. I think it's an interesting toss-up. I think it's probably going to be D. It's the most full, right? I guess it depends on how much leg the centaur wants to show. But if it's a full thing, I think it's D. I think C is the most ridiculous. I don't even know how you would make those pants, let alone kind of get them on. In fact, I don't know if there's, it might be physically impossible to get C pants on. But I don't know. Did J.R.R. Tolkien ever cover this? I don't know if he has centaurs in Lord of the Rings, but I feel like he would have an entire back history of centaurs if he did and exactly what they wore. So there you go. But then see the type of discussion that this creates. So this would be another great thing that if you have a whiteboard or a virtual whiteboard that a lot of people in the company use, you could go through and post a similar question like this and just get a little bit of engagement from people as a fun way to do a little bit of an icebreaker. So well done to Pearson. CK said that the bonding and camaraderie from this wide range of funness that Rick, Chad, and Rick and others at Pearson provide had her looking at the Pearson's job openings page to kind of say like, hey, is there something there for me? Is there something I can do as well? And the final humor award for the organization this year is the Lincoln Leadership Award for humor and leadership for the company that uses humor to strengthen leadership, create a compelling vision, or align teams. This year's nominees include NPR for using photographs to challenge harmful stereotypes, a local copy shop for creating fun moments for customers entering their store, and Peppercom for investing in comedy as an onboarding for new employees. And the winner is Peppercom. That's right. Peppercom has an incredibly creative onboarding process. It's been written up in a number of articles and includes new employees taking a comedy class to help improve company culture and increase retention. So if you kind of thought your interview was a little bit nerve-wracking, imagine within your first year of a company going up and having to do stand-up in front of the CEO. But the actual purpose of that is around communication skills, onboarding. It's very fun, creative environment. And if you've done stand-up together, it probably makes it easier to do a regular presentation together as well. Julie shared this about the nominee saying, this feels really unique. It's a fun way to help to set the tone for a positive work environment, right? If you in your onboarding go through stand-up comedy class, it probably suggests that the organization is pretty open to using humor in the workplace, which is one of the biggest things that we as an organization, as leaders can do. And that is to give people permission to try to use a little bit more humor. Right. So a great example of that from Peppercom. So congratulations to them and congratulations to all of the organization winners for this year. Up next, we are going into the individual winners for 2024. And the way that we frame the individual categories for this year is based on our humor persona. So for a quick primer on the personas, if you are not that familiar with them, the first persona is the enthusiast. And this is someone who enjoys the humor of everyday life, like Dolly Parton and Buddy the Elf. Enthusiasts recognize that humor doesn't have to come from a punchline, but can also come from a new perspective. And as a result, enthusiasts are better able to manage the ups and downs of life with a little bit of levity. Next is a curator. These are people who like to collect and share the things that make them laugh or smile, such as a funny meme, an interesting quote, or a fascinating award show that they happen to be watching right this moment. As Buddha said, happiness never decreases by being shared, and neither does the hilarity of the perfect GIF in a group chat. And this is great for building relationships because studies show that when two people laugh at the same thing, it actually brings them to get closer together, which means hashtag memes build teams. Is that a good hashtag? Anyone else on board with? Well, maybe that's probably terrible. Anyway, the third persona is the inventor. Inventors find satisfaction in creating humor from the things that happen to them, whether that's playing through scenarios in their head, building story from life events, or writing jokes because it's a pun thing to do. They understand the importance of structure and comedic devices, like the comic strip I used in the previous sentence. Good inventors capture attention and turn insight into comedy, like when Phyllis Diller said, "A smile is a curve that sets everything straight." Now, when you think of someone who is quote unquote funny, there's a good chance you're probably thinking of the fourth persona, the entertainer. This is someone who knows how to speak in such a way that other people listen. This is something about, there's something about their delivery or their style or their confidence that has you hanging on their every word. As the kids might say, they have the riz. I have no idea if I use that word correctly. Can a Gen Z person tell me if I've become way too old to talk like that? Becoming an entertainer means more confidence, better delivery, and never having to say, I guess you had to be there. Next is the engineer. Engineers strategically use humor to solve problems like gamifying tasks to make work a bit more fun, or telling an audience they look like Harry Potter so they laugh and decide to listen a little bit longer. And this is what we at Humor That Works do, because we know that what gets fun gets done. And intentionally using humor can help you become more productive, less stressed, and happier. And if lifelong happiness isn't good enough for you, well, just know that people who use humor effectively are also seen as more attractive. So you'll not only be happier, but also hotter. So I think it's worth trying. Up next is the sixth persona, the advocate, who encourages more joy and positivity in the world by creating opportunities for people to share their humor. They're basically the Mr. Rogers and Bob Rosses of the world, and they make the world a better, happier place. Advocates know that if you tell someone a joke, they laugh for a moment. But if you teach someone how to joke, they can laugh for a lifetime. And finally, if you don't think you're any of the above, or you think this is all stupid, well, you might be the skeptic. Just kidding. The skeptics are a really valuable persona because they're aware of the dangers of using humor and know that what's funny to one person might be offensive or cruel to another. It's basically the HR personas. I'm just kidding, because my mom spent entire career in HR, and as she likes to say, you can't spell humor without HR, because then it'd just be UMO. So you see where we get our sense of humor from. But skeptics make sure that we balance humor with being positive and inclusive in our approach. So those are the 7 humor personas. Each one we have an award for this year, starting with the Humor Enthusiast Award for the individual who enjoys the humor of everyday life, whether that's always watching something funny or always finding a way to have a bright smile in their day. The nominees for this year are Tucker Lindgren for great examples of things we take granted but are actually pretty impressive. Ian McConnell for creating a song that highlights the simple things in life. And Jonathan W. who is a self-employed business owner who gave himself an Employee of the Month award. And the winner is Jonathan Warrington. Jonathan Warrington nomination. And the sister posted details about Jonathan, saying Jonathan owns his own company. He is the boss, and he's literally the only employee, and yet he still gives himself a shout out for Employee of the Month. Congratulations, a trip paid for, which is truly wonderful. As Carlos shared, sometimes you need to cheer on your coworkers, even when your only coworker is you. I completely agree with Carlos. Good work on agreeing with that, Drew. I think that was very nice. Thank you. I agree. You've done a great job so far in this. You fumbled a couple of lines, but you'll get through it. I agree, right? So we can just give ourselves those nice little pats on the back, even if no one else does. So congratulations to Jonathan Warrington. Not only are you Employee of the Month, you're also now the Humor Enthusiast of 2024. Up next is the Humor Curator Award. And the Humor Curator Award is for the individual who likes to collect and share the things that make them laugh with other people, whether that's a funny meme, clip from a TV show, jokes and stories they've picked up along the way. And the nominees are Lori Lawrence for using humor in her email signatures to bring a smile to people's faces, Gary Ware for his Friday Instagram post of great memes from around the internet, and Rajiv Satyal for regularly sharing his funny 5 at the end of his monthly newsletter. And the winner for 2024 is Lori Lawrence. Congratulations to Lori. Here are just a few of the jokes that Lori has shared at the bottom of some of her emails. Things like, not so long ago, I had my visa stolen. Now it's everywhere I want to be. Joke. My fake plants died because I did not pretend to water them. That might be a Mitch Hedberg joke, which is wonderful. And I think Taco Tuesday sets a bad example for children. They need to grow up knowing that they can eat tacos every day of the week. All right, so wonderful examples of just some jokes that you can share at the bottom of emails. And these are all curated from Lori, not necessarily completely written by her. Some may be, but there are also some from the internet. So a simple thing that can get people smiling. And as Lori shared, or as we learned from Lori, that sometimes people email her just to get a response, just to see what the joke might be. And as CK shares, her lines are shorter worthy. And I'd be addicted to the funny fix too, saying that some people are in fact addicted to the humor and jokes that she shares. What a great example, great easy way that if you wanted to use humor today, you could do in your very next email, assuming that it is appropriate, not anything too complex or too serious. You could add at the bottom PS and take one of the jokes that you just heard right there. The next award is the Humor Inventor Award for the individual who does a great job creating humor in the world around them and crafting it in such a way that other people can listen. And the finalists this year are Kathy Kuntz for making an international effort to infuse humor in the most mundane of tasks in a variety of ways, Andy Cook for incorporating humor into his work with colleagues, and Jeff Greer for a great long-form satire piece about a gas car review, where he reviewed it as if it was a newfangled type of technology and the pros and cons of a gas car. The winner this year is Andy Cook. Congratulations to Andy. The nomination shared that Andy incorporates humor into his workday quite a bit. One example of that, recently he had to send some language over for a report, and he added to it, hey, while Leah's not at her day job, she runs a 60-yard dash in 4 seconds and is an MMA fighter. All right, that caused the person to laugh so hard that they had to stop a call with a coworker and share the humor with them, right? And I think that's a big highlight of this particular thing, is it's adding humor in a place that you wouldn't necessarily expect humor to be in a report, and it's creating levity for the entire organization as they're sharing it. And that's part of what Julie shared of what she liked about it. She said, I like the idea of sprinkling humor into a report and livening up something that may not be the most exciting thing to write. But you add a small little detail like that, and suddenly as people are going through, not only getting the value of the report, they are also rewarded with a little bit of levity as they go through. So a nice example of humor invention. The next award is the humor entertainer, for the individual who is the consummate humor performer. They know how to speak in such a way that other people hang on their every word. This year's nominees include Anthony Vincent for using heavy metal music for motivational ideas, Professor Matthew Weathers for a very clever presentation to keep students engaged, and Paul Osenkop for his funny work related to humor. The 2024 winner is Professor Matthew Weathers. Congratulations to the professor. Now, this is one that is probably best seen, so give me just a second as I set up the ability to share. What you're about to see is wonderful kind of example for this video. So let's see, we're going to share screen. There's gonna be a little bit of chaos. There's the flights that I was looking at booking a little bit earlier, so you get to see that. But here we go. Here's the first video that we're gonna share. This is this year's award.
You use this X right here to get the, oh my gosh, I just drew on that. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna search for a solution. Let's see, video, math. Maybe this guy can help me. There we go. Hey you, hey, do you think you can help me? I accidentally drew on the screen right here. I don't know what to do. No, a little bit farther down, right there. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's not working. That's making it worse. I'm not sure what to do here. What's that? Oh, okay. That's just getting the cat dirty. That's not working. All right, okay, yeah, let's try that. Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. I don't know what to do. Yeah.
All right, so the video continues on for a little bit, so definitely worth checking out. Again, we'll have links to these types of posts as we go along, but wonderful example of the performance, and quite a bit of work clearly went into that. I don't think you can kind of improvise a screen kind of coming down into you, but it's done in such a way that gets the students to listen. In fact, that's something that CK shared, is that every teacher should take notes from this professor's. She also shared, if I studied physics, I definitely would have wanted to do it with him, right, as a way of making a small aside in the middle of a presentation just to engage the students. And you heard from the video the laughter of people enjoying that. So a wonderful example of performance. The next award winner is for the humor engineer. And this is for the individual who strategically uses humor to solve problems, whether that's making their own work a little bit more fun, getting past a sticking point, or motivating themselves in some way. The nominees this year are Frederick Hortal for making regular communication at work more enjoyable, Aaron Azar for great tips on motivating yourself, and Luis Van On for his TED Talk on how he started Duolingo and why he started it. And the winner for 2024 is Aaron Azar. Congratulations to Aaron with a very funny video that can hopefully motivate all of us. This will be another one that we check out in terms of, let's take a listen to the winning video, and hopefully you feel motivated to potentially go for a run after this one.
step-by-step instructions on how to get out for a run when you really don't want to, starring me, Queen of Don't Want To. Step 1, ignore your messy house, that's a future you problem. Step 2, find bright colors and put them on. Step 3, pretend there's a grizzly bear in your house and run out the door. Step 4, trick yourself into thinking you only have to run for a minute. After a minute, decide if you can physically keep running. If you can, then do it. Step 5, revel in the self-satisfaction that you are in fact better than everybody else, including your past self. Follow for more pro tips.
All right. Excellent motivation techniques, I think, from Aaron as well. A little bit of levity in terms of the process, but actual accurate tips in terms of how you can get yourself to do a task. You break it into micro steps, commit to it. Yeah, you do it for a minute, decide if you can do it a little bit longer. So a great tip there. That also applies to writing. If you're like, I want to do a little bit of writing, but I don't know what to write, commit to writing a single sentence. It's what some people call the minimal viable action. And a lot of times that creates the momentum to keep on going. So a wonderful demonstration of that and a great use of humor to engineer people for some motivation, yourself included. As Carlos shared, self-motivation is difficult. Tricking yourself this way is both hilarious and genius. So nicely done, Aaron. We've got 2 more individual awards coming up. The next one is the award for the humor advocate, which is for the individual who creates a space for other people to use their humor and encourages that use of humor. The nominees for 2024 include Margot Escott for using applied improv for mental and physical health challenges, Corey Jenks for using applied improv in pharmacy, and Greg Goya for creating fun moments for people in public. And the 2024 winner is Corey Jenks. Congratulations to Corey. In the nomination, shared that he is a pharmacist and he uses humor to connect with patients on a more human level. He shares that he helps to deal with diabetes management and obesity to, what he says, pun intended, heavy topics. In addition to that, Corey teaches and shares applied improv workshops when he's doing presentations. And we saw a video of that happening, something that really stood out to CK, who said, Corey shared a video of an applied improv exercise, which produced an instant and positive connection among the volunteers and also helped to build community within the audience, right? So a great way of being the advocate where Corey isn't saying I'm the only one to be the funny one, but to put other people in position to be funny, to create community, to create ultimately connection. Great example of being an advocate. And last but not least, the humor skeptic of 2024, this is for the person who balances wit with caution and who can turn even things like skepticism into creativity. The nominees for this year are Madeline Bailey for turning hate comments into a song, Tim Denning for providing a funny reminder of what's really important in life, and Ryan George for a humorous take on what companies mean when they say they care about you. And the winner is Madeline Bailey. Congratulations to Madeline, who shared a wonderful song. Obviously, this one was quite successful as well, also making it
this lady there.
Merrick. And we've got a video of these comments, so you get to also share kind of the wonderfulness of turning these hate comments into something that is quite creative. Here's a short snippet of that song and her appearance on America's Got Talent.
Yeah, so with posting content on the internet, it inevitably comes the trolls. And so I thought I would take the hate comments from my YouTube videos and turn them into a song.
That's a good idea.
Wow.
Thank you.
So tonight, you're going to take ugliness and make it beautiful. I can't wait to hear the song.
Thank you.
Just got killed by a cat. They hauled the song away in a body bag. Eat a murder, eat a burger. Why do you make every song sad? Her sound is so trash, her voice is very bad. Bad, very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. Sing. She's so overrated. Am I the only one who really hates her? I don't understand the hype. I'm sorry, I just unsubscribed. You make the worst covers ever. Song destroying machine. I'd like to hear her sing in front of me. I know it'd be lame. Totally lame if you're looking for advice.
A wonderful song. It goes on for about another minute and a half, but really, really impressive use of turning something that could demotivate you, could make you upset, etc., and into something very creative. And that's something that Julie shared, is that anyone that can find a unique comedic spin on internet trolls is certainly winning at humor. So congratulations certainly to Madeline, and to recognize, yeah, that there are sometimes going to be people that don't appreciate the humor that you share. But as the great philosopher Taylor Swift once said, haters going to hate, hate, hate. And you just got to shake it off. Shake it off, right? So I think a great example of that. I also think one kind of keynote particular with this one is also recognizing that sometimes the skeptic that holds you back isn't other people, but in your own head. And so hopefully from this year's Humor Awards, you can recognize that there's tremendous value to getting more levity out into the world. And by watching these, it hopefully can inspire you. Maybe you think, hey, for next year, I totally want to be in one of those categories. Or like I said, you can take any of these ideas and say, okay, how could I do that same thing? How could I either share and reapply some jokes, or how could I, if I like that video, maybe I'm going to be a curator and share that out with other people, or maybe I can do some of my own writing, etc. The whole goal of this is to, one, celebrate the incredible humor that is out there, two, put together a fun show so that we can see some of those examples, and then three, hopefully inspire you to go out and do a little bit more humoring yourself. A special shout out and thank you to our judges for selecting our winners this year from the finalists. That goes to Julie, Carlos, and CK. They all three have phenomenal Substacks. So if you want a little bit more joy and positivity in your inbox, make sure that you go and subscribe. And along those lines, if you want to stay up to date on everything humor related, be sure to join the Funny Thing About That newsletter. It's our weekly newsletter where we share how to use humor to be a better human. You can share us, you can join us at humor.me/newsletter, which maybe Bianca, we can drop that link in the chat, or you can also scan the QR code on your screen. As mentioned, we share weekly updates on things that are going on in the Humor That Works universe, as well as tips and techniques to use humor a little bit better. And pretty soon, super secret spoiler alert, we're going to be launching a little bit of an audio version of some things as well. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. That's our focus after this year's Humor Awards. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us this year. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun. Hopefully you got some inspiration. And we'll see you back next year with some more incredible award winners. Thank you all so much for joining.